All right, let's do a quick review of linear equations, y equals mx plus b. We have both a table and a graph here and our equation. Remember that m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. So when we are looking at a graph, the y-intercept is going to be where we cross this y-axis. So this is your y-axis over here. This is your x-axis. We're always looking at the y-axis to determine where our y-intercept is. And it's always going to be where x equals 0. So that's our y-intercept at 0, -1. So what that tells us on this particular equation is that b equals -1. On the table, we can also see that you want to be careful because you don't always have 0 at the very top of the table. The y-intercept is whatever y is when x equals 0. So our y-intercept on the table is right there. So we see the y-intercept where x equals 0 on the table and on the graph, and that makes our b value -1 for this particular part. The slope is the growth rate. So how much is our y values increasing or decreasing? And in this case, they are going up. And from -3 to 1, we're adding 2. From -1 to +1, we're adding 2, adding 2, adding 2, and adding 2. On our graph, we can see this from these points on the graph, wherever they're crossing those grid line intersections, we can see that the graph is going up 2 and over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So that's how we can see our slope on our graph. So we can write our slope as 2 over 1, or we can just write it as 2. So our equation then for this graph in this table is going to be y equals 2x minus 1. You could also write that as y equals 2 over 1x plus -1. These two are equivalent. Either way is perfectly fine.